I know who you are. I know who you are. Why are you so cute? And how do I make you so happy? Do I really make you happy? Boy, I'll tell you what, to have happy children. I'd rather have 7 happy children than one that's terrible, right?
Yes, sir.
And that's why we're happy to have 7 happy children. Yes, we are. Are you happy?
Yeah.
Welcome back to the Abundant Harvest Homestead, everyone. I'm Papa Pepper. Actually bought some store-bought tomatoes, tomato plants, because I concentrated more on getting peppers ready than I did getting my tomatoes ready. But this video I'm making is because I did something 4 years ago and I'm still dealing with the effects of it today. And I don't want to just experience that myself and have that be something I keep private. I want to be able to speak openly and honestly about it and say, look, this is something I did once. 2018. So then 2018, I dealt with this. 2019, came back, dealt with it again. 2020, third year in a row because of something I did in 2018. Had to deal with it. Now, I'm gonna have to deal with it again in 2021 just because of one thing I did back in 2018. And that's amazing. This one's a white tomato. A lady we get milk from gave the plant to my wife. Thank you, son. Can I also get a couple of those empty buckets from over there? I'm gonna pull up some weeds for compost. Thank you, my boy. I love that when people are doing things like having their own animals for things like milk, and then having extra milk, and then selling milk, and then people show up to buy their milk. And although their main purpose and goal is, to make money, they also give stuff away. I love that. Let's walk around here. Here's what I'm dealing with. Some of you guys might recognize what's going on here. Some of you might not. I'll tell you, don't worry, you won't be left out. Across here, of course, I like to plant peas on every trellis I got early in the spring. Gives them a chance to get up and produce, and then after they fizzle out, other things can also overtake them. If you look at, this one's a weed, but if you look at these, those are Malabar spinach seedlings. I don't know if you guys have ever tried Malabar spinach. If you have not, you should. There's a reason it's one of my top 3 garden plants. So here is a Malabar spinach bed that I established. Malabar spinach is not a true spinach. It's a tropical plant that is edible that people use as a spinach substitute. Compared to spinach, it thrives in the heat. This stuff loves it because it's a tropical plant. As long as it has a sufficient enough supply of water, it will grow amazing and it will do a great job. So I sowed some seeds. I can't remember if it was 12 or 14 plants. And they grew up this 4-foot fence behind me, and they did great in 2018. And although they're a perennial in the tropics, where they don't die off in the winter, they die off here. This is zone 6B, 7A. The winters are too cold. They don't like freezing temps, right? But I let it complete its life cycle, and it went to seed, and it made viable seed. I collected a number of these. I shared with a number of people, but where I like to collect my seeds is over the garden bed. I'll show you a couple before this video is done, and you'll see what I mean. But that way, any ones that fall away from me wind up in the garden bed. Now, even though this plant is not a perennial here, it came back in 2019 and I didn't need to plant it. Then it came back in 2020 and I didn't need to plant it. This is going to be the 4th year that I'm able to harvest this bed of Malabar spinach, and I haven't planted it in 3 years. I didn't plant it this year, I didn't plant it last year, I didn't plant it in 2019, I planted it in 2018. To me, that is awesome. And that adds to one of the reasons that it's one of my top 3 garden plants. If I only had to plant it once, and I never have to plant it again, potentially this life, I never have to plant it again. And it just gives me more food than I can handle on a yearly basis. Last year I added some rebar and a whole structure of wire, so now it goes up another 2.5 feet above what it did. So it's going up like 7 feet above the ground, and it covers it. The leaves get like this big and they're thick. It's kind of like purslane almost, where there's a thick, crisp crunch to them. I love that. I think that's awesome. I just make sure it gets watered and it just boom, explodes where we cannot keep up with pigging this. What I'm gonna do is I'm gonna back up a couple videos for you guys here. I'll show you a little bit of stuff from 2018, from 2019, and from 2020, and you can see for yourself how this is done for us in previous years. And then we'll have to see this season what it does this year. But based on previous experience, it looks like I've got about 15 plants right here. That's too many plants for this area. So I'm going to start lifting some up and potting them. I give away so many of these plants, again, because of an original dozen or 14 plants that were on my property. I haven't planted it in years, and I get more of a harvest than I can handle. Even being married with 7 kids, we're eating it fresh. We're putting it in salads, we're putting it in soups, putting it in stews, putting it in stir fries. Love it. Make like some corn salad where you take like corn and diced up peppers, diced up onions, some mayonnaise and stuff, mix that together, throw some of this in there. It's awesome. I've got friends who are chefs. They love this stuff. I got friends who've invested time in chard, which takes a lot of water to get a decent plant. They think this stuff is amazing because of how much it produces with just given the opportunity. I love a plant like that. But I'll show you what we dealt with sometime in the past years, and then this I know is going to be more than I can handle again, and it's going to be too many plants. So I can lift those up, give them away, have others get introduced to it. Others I've introduced to it have liked it. It's one of my top 3 garden plants, so I vouch for it. But then still, it'll give me the food I need. So it's giving me extra plants, it's giving me extra food. I have so little effort, and it seems to be pretty pest resistant. You'll get a few, because we grow organically. We grow not certified organically, but we don't add anything extra to the stuff. We just try to grow as naturally as we can. We build up our pest control posse, so there's a lot of good insects and reptiles and stuff patrolling this area, amphibians too, keeping down the bugs, which is really cool to see. But you'll get a big leaf with a couple holes in it, but wow, this stuff is amazing. So let's back up for a minute, show you those previous years, and then I'll come back here for the closer. All right guys, Papa Pepper here, down in the garden on the homestead once again, and we are going to be checking out the red Malabar spinach today. Got all for the good and bluer than green coming over for dinner tonight. Families are going to spend some time together. So Mama Pepper and I, this is a new one for us to try this year. I thought, you know what, we're a lot hotter down here in Arkansas than we were in Wisconsin. We have like quite a few almost 100-degree days in a row right now. I thought we should check this out and give it a try. So I'm actually going to try my first sampling of a leaf, and then I'm going to harvest a couple to add to our snake gourd and noodle bean stir fry that we're having for dinner tonight with some homemade rolls. So again, this is a vining spinach. It's got these wonderful leaves that are supposedly nice and tasty and edible. I've never tried them before, but you can see it's a good looking leaf. It's pretty thick. Man, it's got a good texture to it, and a lot thicker than what you'd find in a lot of leaves. I'm trying to think of something to compare it to, and it's escaping me at the moment. But it's a beautiful leaf, so I'm just going to try this one raw. Oh man. I mean, it's really something you can actually sink your teeth into, because there's a whole layer to go through there. Good thick leaf. Now, just a hot leaf out in the middle of the day like this. Would I eat this? Yeah, absolutely. Check this plant out. This thing is crazy. Alright guys, Papa Pepper here in the garden today. This is one of the best plants that I know to grow if you're looking for an excellent summer green, something you can have all summer long that's going to do amazing. It's actually this whole wall behind me is like 12 or 14 plants of Malabar spinach, which if you're not familiar with it, You're gonna love it. I'll give you a close-up quick and then I'll explain some of the cool things about it. So, why do I love Malabar spinach? Well, I've actually wanted to grow this one for many years. It's known by a few other names like a vine spinach or Ceylon spinach, and I finally got to grow some this year. I am super impressed with it, absolutely love it, and we really have been using it in a number of ways. So if you like greens, one thing you know is that in the heat of summer, good greens are kind of hard to come by if you're growing them yourself, because the heat of the summer is going to cause a lot of them to get bitter. A lot of them are going to bolt and go to seed. So they're kind of more of either spring or a fall crop, the vast majority of greens that a lot of people enjoy growing from their home garden. Now, Malabar spinach is not a true spinach, but it's very similar. It's used the same, and that's why they call it Malabar spinach. That's why that's kind of its name on the street. The cool thing about these things is they grow on these very long vines. They're very, very heat tolerant. From seed to maturity to being ready to harvest is going to be about 70 days, and these things can actually get 30 feet long. Like, I'm not even sure how long some of these are. There's definitely some sprouts that have put off 30 feet worth of stuff, but they branch off at all these crazy intersections and they keep spreading, keep growing, and they are absolutely amazing. We can't harvest enough of this thing. I pick this thing like every day or every other day, and there's just still an endless supply. The leaves get very nice sized. They really get good, and I would really compare the texture kind of almost like purslane. I mean, there's a good, healthy, hearty crunch. And even just raw, fresh off the plant, they taste so good. Alright guys, Papa Pepper from the Abundant Harvest Homestead here today in the garden with one of my top 3 garden plants, which is the Malabar spinach. We had a ton of these, a ton of the food anyway last year. We only grew like 12 or 14 plants. And a very edible, very tasty plant. They call it spinach because it's a spinach substitute. It's a perennial in the tropics, but it does incredibly well here and many other places. And the way we like to do it is we'll just take these leaves, and this is one of 2 seeds I was able to sprout. They can be difficult to germinate inside, so you take these big tasty leaves. Man, it's been a year since I tasted that, well, a growing season. That is tasty. So we like to use them fresh in a number of things, including salads and stuff, and then we also like to use them in stir fries. And I tried really hard and only got 2 to germinate, and that's why we never released them for sale on our Homesteaders Co-op store. Definitely a plant I love having, definitely a plant I want others to grow, but if I can't get 75 to 100% germination on my own, I'm not willing to stand behind them and sell them. But I heard that they could, almost be invasive. Mr. Zach Bauer from An American Homestead kind of talked about them reseeding themselves and almost being invasive, and I'm like, really? So here I am by my little trellis, and this is only maybe a 10 foot little section run between 2 T-posts here, and we had 12 or 14 plants on here last year. We couldn't keep up with it, but a lot of them make seeds and they fall to the ground, and we didn't pick them all up. And if you look at this, people are absolutely right that these things reseed themselves incredibly well. I mean, if you look at what you're seeing right here, we've probably got 20 seedlings. Now, the cool thing is, I've got some friends who would like some, so I can take my seed in the trays here. So what I'm going to do is all these ones that did so well on their own, I mean, this is way more than we need growing right here. They should be on the trellis. The couple we had last year completely covered it all. So I'm just going to dig deep and kind of pop these up. Loosen the soil underneath them. Grab them out. Got the root system there. And I can put them right in a seeding tray. And I'm going to give them a good water. They can grow there for a little bit. This one got nibbled down by something. Somebody else thought it was tasty too. And we have been releasing a number of lizards into our garden and some other things for our organic pest control posse. So This is one of those plants though. I love one that is super tasty and productive, does well in the heat. Incredible plant, very tasty, incredible producer. We've really enjoyed it. And if something, reseeds itself, if it comes back on its own, this is not a perennial here. And I am super excited about seeing all these sprouts because I was like, no, this is one of my favorite plants and I only got 2 of them to grow. Like if they don't come back on their own, if the seeds that dropped don't sprout, then I've got a whole lot less going than I would like to this year. So why would a plant that puts out this much food be a plant that I did not plant this year in my garden? Simply put, because I didn't have to. So honestly guys, there's a reason why this giant wall of green behind me is one of the best garden plants I did not plant this year. One of the best garden plants I did not plant this year because I did not have to plant it. I got 2 seeds to germinate during my germination tests. That's why we didn't offer it for sale on our online store. But it reseeded itself. The stuff that fell to the ground last year in this raised bed reseeded itself and came back in force. I've easily got more than 50 plants here. The interesting thing is last year we had trouble as a family keeping up with harvesting between 12 and 14 plants. We had something like 12 or 14 plants, and if you look at this, I mean look at this once. It starts up here as a vine, right? It's got all the way up there, down here, all the way across there. And I just harvested this, guys. Look at some of these leaves I did not pick. That's incredible. That's big. All those big leaves down there, all the way up the wall here, all the way back across. And I just spent 15 minutes harvesting this. Look at this. Here's these bowls, guys. Look at these bowls. Now I get it, they're not, completely crushed down, but compared to my hand, that's what that one looks like. Just got all this fresh food, so green, so rich for my family. Look at some of these leaves. Just look at that. And to me, it's got a nice kind of purslane. Here's a little bit of purslane. For a weed, this is an incredible weed. To me, it's got a certain thickness. A certain thickness to it and crunch where when I eat purslane, there's a hearty richness to it that I also find Malabar spinach. It really has. So obviously, the cool thing is we just dice this up, chop it up into little squares, put it in a freezer bag and freeze it, and bring it out for stir fries, different vegetable mixes, steam it later in the year, pull it out of the freezer, and it tastes just perfect. We don't blanch it, we don't do anything to it, we just put it in there like that. But this stuff is so insane. So insane. These are my volunteer Malabar spinach. Some of those leaves, look at that. I mean, that's a good sized leaf. I didn't plant any of this. It planted itself. Outside of the bed is where I'm still pulling them up to give to people. These guys are running to the top of the trellis already. Just awesome stuff. To me, it's the best way to have greens all summer because they don't kind of bolt, they don't do whatever, they're there, they're dependable, they love the heat. This is a closer look where you can see, here's 5 or 6, there's also strawberries creeping in here. Look at that, what is that, another 30 or 40 plants up through here, just so many, so many. There's a weed. These ones are starting to get some bigger leaves already. So cool to see. Weed, 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 weed. And these probably came in with the topsoil I purchased. But all through here, that's a baby one sprouting up there. Got some weeds too, more coming up. This side's got like even more. Look at that pile. That's a pile of them. That's as many or more than I started with the first year. Same thing over there. All these ones just coming in. You can see they got a little bit of yellow on the leaf because we've been through, a week or a week and a half of rain, and we got about another week to go. But they're alive, they're doing well. Look at how many that is. This is gonna be one of the areas I first pull from. I'm just gonna pull a bunch of those out of there because that's way too many for me. And one cool thing too about the Malabar spinach seeds, they can be hard to germinate. So when I can just leave them here and on their own they do the whole thing, psh, good, then I can save somebody else the headache of trying to germinate them. And look at this, walking onions are thriving, Jerusalem artichokes are thriving. Here, I had mustard greens, saved some seeds over this bed last year. 2 years ago actually. So they came in last year on their own, voluntarily. Now the honeybees are liking the flowers and they're all going to seed already. You guys see that? They're going to seed. And each of these pods will have like a dozen or 15 seeds in it. I'll also have tons of those mustard green seeds because I let it go to seed. I've got a video coming up. I'm going to talk about just, man, some of the importance of saving your own seeds right now, guys, for real. Check out our kale. Look at that. This stuff is, yeah, over 5 feet tall, some of this kale. It's got big, gorgeous leaves. We're out here cutting this down probably almost daily, huh, son? I mean, every other day at least we're cutting it down. He's over there doing some weeding. Hey, what do you got in your mouth there, son? What are you doing?
Picking weeds.
Yeah, but what do you got in your mouth?
Rhubarb.
Rhubarb. So he's mowing down some rhubarb. You can see we let some of the wild weeds. What kind of weeds are those behind you?
Lamb's quarter.
Lamb's quarter. What kind of weeds mostly here at my feet?
Chickweed.
Chickweed. A lot of free, good, tasty salad here. A lot of good, free, tasty salad there. These kids like that stuff. He's got really dirty hands, but he's trying to keep them away from his mouth as he enjoys his rhubarb, as he works hard. We probably don't need that in the compost right now. So if it was all good stuff, you can give that to the sheep, the ones in the back pasture. I'll let them out to mow the woods pasture tomorrow. Love getting some harvests already where, you know, he's mowing down the rhubarb. We're enjoying this kale from last year. Same thing here. When I saved mustard green seeds, no, yeah, these are the red mustard greens. When I saved those, I saved them over the bed. Now look, there's just this giant pile of them going to seed. Give me the next generation of seeds, right? Same thing is going to happen over here. This rhubarb is actually flowering, this cilantro is flowering already. That stuff there is probably 2.5 feet tall. Very cool. That's, you know, cilantro. These are the ones that lasted through the winter. We'll snip off these leaves around the outside and use them, but we don't cut the whole plant back. The ones that make it through the winter are the ones we let flower and go to seed so we can have a cold hardy variety that, just like these, had cilantro here for us all winter long. A lot of chickweed and stuff in here too. I don't mind using wild edibles as ground cover, so chickweed and the lamb's quarter we'll let run. And then here is an area where not only do the kids get to swing, they got a little chili pepper up in a swing we got from Mexico. Bugger, be nice to those sheep right now. And put your shirt on right. I'm not sure what you're doing there, boy. But these are some of the sheep we're weaning right now. Some of our lambs. So we've got them here so they got buddies. They're away from their moms. And what we do is we just let them eat down one area at a time. You can see here's where they've eaten down. They've eaten down this area, they'll eat down that. We'll let them have the next section like this. So we don't really have to mow it or weed whack it or weed it ourselves. We'll let them eat it down to nothing. Then if we heavily mulch it, we can turn it over to garden. Same type of stuff that's going on back here, where I just put in this long row of blackberries. Not sure, I don't think I made a video about that, but I put in a long row of blackberries as well as a long row of those golden raspberries on that side. And this fence will get moved back a little bit over there. We'll have some woods pasture this way, but this will be expanding garden area. And that's the same thing we're gonna do back here where these sheep are. They're gonna be part of the expanding garden area as we head from the pond and this way and past these fruit trees and stuff like that. So for anyone who likes our family and enjoys cute stuff, I'll give you a little bit of time here with these little ones and the sheep and the swing, and then we'll shut this down. I know who you are. I know who you are. Why are you so cute? And how do I make you so happy? Do I really make you happy? Boy, I'll tell you what, to have happy children. I'd rather have 7 happy children than one that's terrible, right?
Yes, sir.
And that's why we're happy to have 7 happy children. Yes, we are. Are you happy?
Yeah.
Okay. Are you happy?
No.
How about you?
Yes.
Are you happy?
Yes, sir.
Are you just waiting for the M&Ms to come out the back of that sheep? Little chocolate covered M&Ms? No? Okay. So you can see they're excited. They're mowing down good. They're cute. Most of these are used, right?
All of them are used except for the ones that have.
And look, monster truck's already over there with this first 5-gallon bucket. So we keep the sheep there while we let other things grow up and then feed them sometimes hay, sometimes stuff like he's dumping for them. And then we let them out in different sections usually based on what's growing up and ready for them. But that's where the mamas of these ones are. What one is this guy's name?
That's Rory.
Hey, Rory. And he was born on my friend's birthday. My friend, his name is Rory. So we decided to name him Rory because he's a birthday buddy. And Bugger, do you know you have a birthday coming up soon?
Yeah.
And you have a birthday buddy.
Yeah.
Yeah, you do have a birthday buddy. So we might have something special planned for your birthday.
Yeah.
Should we try to make a video if we do?
Yeah.
And how old are you going to be?
4.
How old are you now?
3.
So 3 plus 1 is?
4.
Okay, there you go. Do you want to eat grass with the sheep?
No.
Okay, that's right, because sheep and people are different.
Yeah.
All right.
And sheep aren't people, are they?
No. Some people act like sheep.
Yeah. But it doesn't mean they're sheep.
All right, somebody's spitting up. We'll see you next time.
Red pepper out. Thank you for watching.